This is a Power 98.7 podcast. Now we're talking. Subscribe to Power 98.7 podcasts in iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. There's more on power987.co.za.
We wrap up with that conversation about the socio-economic importance of the after-school sector, how it has been hit by COVID-19. On the line, we are joined by Sibongile Khumalo, Executive Director of NGO, The Learning Trust. Thank you so much for giving us your time. Abo bundle of joy at home, Orga Gogo. How hard have you been hit by COVID-19 as a sector?
Thank you so much, Tumisang, and good evening to your listeners. Very hard hit, and in fact it seems while we thought education was the business of the Department of Basic Education, it's become all of our business. I'm sure you've experienced it, whether with own children or children of neighbors and family. All of us have kids at home around us in communities who are not going to school. Many who need our attention, and so it has become the business and the job of community members to educate our kids. After school programs at this time, of course, during lockdown and the pandemic have not been operational, especially since schools have been closed down. But, slowly but surely, schools are returning to operation. After-school programs are also reopening. So it's easing a little bit in level 3, but still not back to normal as it should be.
Are there any concerns, though, that should regulations, be relaxed once again? And yes, the schooling system is slowly getting back to what is a new normal, that there would be some assurance that would be given to parents. Some of them are desperate in that there's no one looking after their little ones, and they would have to be forced to return them to an after-school type of setup. But is there assurance for parents where safety of the children is concerned, because that is the biggest concern at this time?
There are concerns all around Tumisang, and unfortunately no assurances. We've all been listening to the Ministry of Basic Education trying to guide us around these things. But, none of us knew how long we would be in lockdown. None of us knew the extent of the pandemic. And so, while, we ourselves falter, and so does the Department of Basic Education. And so we've seen very little guidance for after-school programs and their operation when they return to operation. But we as the Learning Trust have taken up the responsibility of drawing up some guidelines for after-school programs returning.
All right.
We're giving guidelines to programs around safety and health issues, how they can welcome kids back and their staff and ensuring their safety. If they are feeding kids on their premises, how they can do that more safely. And also what sort of numbers they can welcome back into their program. So while it has been lacking from the Department of Basic Education side, the Learning Trust and other partners in the sector are trying to provide that sort of guidance.
And it's quite progressive that there are at least some programs that would suggest solutions. And going into what is known as the new normal, do you think that the sector can survive with a reduced number of taking care of less children than what is the norm?
There are 13 million children in the schooling system, Tumisang, and that's not going to change, right? Of course, not all of those children are back at school and they're coming in slowly. But whether we save this year or we suspend the academic year to next year, there will still be that many children in the system that need to be provided for from a point of view of schools, but also from the point of view of after-school programs. So after-school programs will always be necessary. And after-school programs and the Learning Trust certainly are working towards ensuring that the sector survives this pandemic, ensuring that the sector innovates and finds other platforms for after-school programming. So lately, we have been on television. Some of our partners have been on radio with after-school programming, all in the pillars of, academic support or arts and culture. sports and recreation, psychosocial support, you name it. Our partners have been trying to provide this kind of support while kids are in lockdown and, are really not being nurtured at this time.
It is quite an interesting time to be alive, and really the health implications of the current trajectory, outweigh the notion of having to have a normal life. There's an argument that, these little ones could really rather be staying at home as opposed to be going out there. What is of fundamental importance that they'll be doing at these after school care type of programs, or even at school? How do we address that particular argument, because this sector then means would be facing a demise if we think in that manner?
And there will not be a normal as we know it for a while. But what we are here for, and after school programs are doing, is to keep kids on track. The notion of, in the US they call it the summer learning gap. The longer we are away from school, the longer we are in lockdown without schooling, the bigger the learning gaps we will experience, and the bigger the inequality gap, right? Because we know that the more privileged kids are at home learning, while the less privileged are doing nothing. And so my belief, and definitely personally, is that schools are opening for social reasons more than they are for academic reasons. And right now, that is enough, Tumisang, because we have to start somewhere. And so beyond just saving the school year, I think it's important that we provide safe spaces for our kids to go to, safe spaces where they can even access a meal and have an adult that is caring and that is available.
Absolutely. All the best to you. Sibongile Khumalo, Executive Director of NGO The Learning Trust, speaking to us about the socio-economic importance of the after-school sector in the times of COVID-19.
You've been listening to a Power 98.7 podcast. For more podcasts, visit power987.co.za or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.